With his infectious humour and relatable stories, Steve Harvey has captured the hearts of millions of fans worldwide. Steve's journey to success has been remarkable. He started as a stand-up comedian and is now a popular TV host and media mogul. But recently, Steve received a lot of hate online. What did he do that pissed off so many people, including some renowned personalities? How did he react to it? Get ready to uncover the untold truth about Steve Harvey and the complex relationships surrounding him. Imagine asking anyone who the biggest TV show host in America or even the world is, and the astounding answer is Steve Harvey. His name alone brings images of fame, fortune, and an army of adoring fans. What if the people closest to him saw a different side? A side that may surprise you and challenge everything you thought you knew about the man behind the microphone. Recent remarks from the host of The Young Turks, Cenk Uygur, have made their rounds online. He called out Steve Harvey, telling him he doesn't get to be horrible to others regardless of his justification. Steve Harvey's days of being on top are over and the time for payback has come. For years, Steve basked in the glory of fame and respect from his colleagues and peers in the industry and the general public. He was the shining star of morning shows and the most recognisable face in any room he entered. But Steve's true nature was revealed behind the charming smile and the affable persona he presented on screen. In reality, he was nothing like the sweet and amiable personality he portrayed. Instead, he was a nightmare, and his co-workers had finally had enough of his toxic behaviour. Join us as we delve into the shocking truth about the real Steve Harvey and the downfall of a once great icon. The reckoning has begun, and it's not going to be pretty. Why was the internet so mad at Steve? A memo he sent to his staffers has sent shockwaves through the industry and opened people's eyes to the kind of person he is. In the memo, Steve shows his disdain towards his employees in the ugliest way possible. He remarked that he hates being around them and doesn't want to stand beside them. It's no wonder Steve Harvey is getting cancelled after all these years. He's finally stopped pretending to be the nice guy and revealed his true colours. Trust us when we say this, you are better off not knowing. In his memo, he showed a level of disrespect and arrogance that is beyond belief. The once beloved TV icon has fallen from grace, and the fallout from his actions is just the beginning. So what was in this memo that took Steve's mask off? The memo Steve Harvey sent to his co-workers was nothing short of shocking. He drew a clear line between himself and those he worked with, making it clear that he saw them beneath him. The memo read, "My security team will stop everyone from standing at my door who intends to see or speak to me." He stated that he wanted all the ambushing to stop. He made sure to point out the TV staff. He mentioned one must schedule an appointment. He then stressed how much he despised being accompanied by his co-workers by telling them not to dare walk beside him in the hallways. The disdain and arrogance in his words were palpable, but when confronted about the backlash, Steve doubled down, refusing to apologise. Instead, he accused people of taking advantage of him and wanting to talk to him for their gain. It's clear that Steve's ego has gotten the best of him, and he has lost touch with reality. Steve explained why he was forced to send out the strongly worded memo. Despite being a respected and admired TV host, Steve Harvey could not find a moment of privacy. He couldn't walk from the stage to his dressing room without someone following him, nor could he sit down to enjoy a meal without someone interrupting him. He couldn't even sit in his makeup chair without someone walking in uninvited. While he had always maintained an open-door policy where his colleagues and staff could approach him, some had taken it too far. They had started abusing his generosity and were approaching him on his personal space and time, leaving Steve to take extreme measures to protect himself from further intrusion. He blatantly refused to apologise as well. Steve Harvey felt trapped and suffocated by the constant attention from fans and people waiting for him, describing it as a prison he could not escape. He was afraid to even take a breath of fresh air without someone approaching him. This feeling of entrapment led him to write a controversial letter to his staff, drawing a clear line between himself and his co-workers. Shockingly, Steve refused to acknowledge his mistake or apologise for his behaviour. After years of being untouchable and feeling like he could say or do anything without consequences, Steve's arrogance seemed to have finally caught up with him. The question now remains, will he continue to be blind to his flaws, or will he face the reckoning for his toxic behaviour? Despite the backlash, Steve has clarified that he will not apologise for the memo. He finds it unbelievable that people have made such a big deal out of it. To him, many people aren't worth his time. As a result, he has banned anyone from approaching him at work. Steve doesn't realise how his behaviour comes off as obnoxious and arrogant, and he has made no effort to improve his image. While some may argue that Steve is justified in not wanting to be bothered at work, his actions speak to a deeper issue of entitlement and disrespect towards his colleagues. The pattern of Steve Harvey's poor behaviour is not a new thing. He has a history of acting badly and expecting people to accept it. For those of you who may be unaware, it may be a shock to learn that Steve Harvey has long been a hateful bigot who doesn't shy away from making racist or homophobic comments in public. It's a disturbing truth that he seems unwilling to confront or change. According to Steve, gay men are not real men. He has openly disrespected Asians. This is a shock to many people because he made these comments despite being a man of colour. Discrimination is unacceptable. He should not have made any insinuations about any specific community. One might imagine, being a man of colour himself, he might exhibit empathy towards other marginalised groups. During one of his segments, Steve Harvey attempted to ridicule a book called How to Date a White Woman, a practical guide for Asian men. Instead of simply dismissing it, he made a cringe-worthy joke. "That's one page too. Excuse me, do you like Asian men?" "No, thank you." This insensitive comment upset many Asian men who rightfully called out his hypocrisy. In a revealing character study of Steve Harvey, Eddie Wang accurately portrays the talk show host's behaviour and perspectives. Notably, Harvey presents himself as a man of faith with a wide-reaching platform to promote positive messages and social justice causes. However, Wang points out that this public image does not necessarily reflect Harvey's actions and motivations behind the scenes. One of the most glaring comparisons Eddie Wang made of Harvey's selfish behaviour is the tendency to order high-end Krug champagne for himself while cooking for others, all for his profit. This behaviour suggests a lack of consideration for the need and desires of others. Additionally, Wang highlights Harvey's hypocritical stance on issues of discrimination. Despite being a black man and against all forms of prejudice, Harvey has been known to perpetrate the emasculation of Asian men. This stance contradicts his supposed commitment to equality and further highlights his willingness to prioritise his interests over those of marginalised groups. A disturbing aspect of Steve Harvey's beliefs is his assumption that men are solely interested in sexual relationships with women. He has explicitly stated that he does not maintain any female friendships because he believes that men who befriend women are only doing so to pursue sexual opportunities. This sexist and short-sighted view perpetrates harmful gender stereotypes and undermines the value of non-sexual relationships between individuals of different genders. In addition to his other problematic behaviour, Steve Harvey insults his guests for humour. Harvey's tendency to insult his guests for the sake of humour is not only unprofessional but also disrespectful. Ernie Hudson's experience is a clear example, as he endured Harvey's mocking of his son's voice during the show. Despite annoyance with Harvey's behaviour, Hudson remained composed during the interview. However, it is clear that Harvey's behaviour is unacceptable and highlights his inability to treat his guests with respect and dignity. In a shocking display of misogyny, Steve Harvey gives a disturbing response to a woman seeking advice on rejecting potential suitors. He implied that men are uncontrollable once they develop an interest in a woman, reinforcing the dangerous belief that men are entitled to pursue women regardless of their wishes. It is deeply concerning that Harvey, despite his problematic views on gender, presents himself as a relationship expert and offers advice to his audience. Given his history of harmful and insensitive comments, it is important to approach his advice with caution and scrutiny. Additionally, Harvey's behaviour sets a dangerous precedent for his fans and followers who may look up to him as a role model and follow in his footsteps. His disregard for marriage's sanctity and willingness to justify cheating can have serious consequences for relationships and families. Steve Harvey's personal love life is as messy and problematic as they come. He has been married 3 times, with his third wife being his former mistress. while he was still married to his second wife. To make matters worse, he has a history of cheating on all his wives and seems completely oblivious to the harm and betrayal this causes. Instead, he has gone as far as to justify cheating, but only for men, claiming that men can cheat because there are always plenty of women willing to give themselves to a man who is already taken. It is troubling that someone with such a large platform and influence would support such harmful views and behaviours. Steve Harvey is not shy about sharing his opinions on religious beliefs and atheism. Unfortunately, his views are narrow-minded and offensive. He thinks his beliefs are the only correct ones, and anyone who disagrees is wrong. He once referred to atheists as idiots and went as far as to suggest that they don't have any moral beliefs. He seems to lack understanding and respect for people who hold different beliefs, and this kind of intolerance is unacceptable. Steve Harvey appeared to have known that his past actions and comments were bound to catch up with him someday. In 2022, he announced that he would no longer perform stand-up comedy, citing the cancel culture as the reason for his decision. However, little did he know that his time in the limelight was already limited. We live in a culture where anyone, especially a stand-up comedian, who relies on sponsorships can no longer say whatever they want without repercussions. Many people have pointed out that Harvey's cancellation has been long overdue, and that he should have lost his TV show years ago. The fact that it took this long for him to face the consequences of his actions is a testament to the flawed nature of our entertainment industry.